There are people who don't just think, they plunge. They don't skim the surface of life. They dive straight into its depths. They question everything, feel everything, analyze everything, and see meaning where others see routine. These people live in a world that often feels too shallow for the weight of their thoughts. If you've ever been told you overthink, care too much, or see things nobody else notices, this video is for you. These are the 9 signs you think too deeply for this world. A world that was never built for minds like yours. Let's begin. You can't enjoy things without understanding them. For most people, pleasure is simple. They enjoy things because they're fun, convenient, or familiar. But deep thinkers don't operate that way. You don't just enjoy a movie. You dissect its themes, symbolism, and character psychology. You don't just read a quote. You analyze its philosophical implications. You don't just like a person. You study their patterns, motives, wounds, and contradictions. You crave understanding before enjoyment. Your mind wants to know the why, the how, and the deeper truth behind everything. And while this gives your life richness, it also makes simple pleasures harder. Conversations feel empty unless they have depth. Small talk is torture for a deep thinker. You don't dislike people. You dislike conversations that feel hollow, repetitive, predictable. You crave emotional honesty, intellectual challenge, psychological nuance. You want to talk about identity, fear, purpose, contradiction, morality, the human condition. When someone says, "So how's the weather?" you hear, "This interaction has no depth." You can do small talk when necessary, but you never feel alive in it. You feel alive when a conversation cracks open something real. You feel the weight of the world's emotions. Thinking deeply often comes with feeling deeply. You don't just observe emotions, you absorb them. You sense tension between people before they acknowledge it. You feel the sadness behind someone's smile. You notice the insecurity in someone's arrogance. Your emotional radar is always on. And while this makes you empathetic and perceptive, it also makes you emotionally vulnerable. You carry emotions that aren't yours. You notice suffering others overlook. You feel intensity others mistake for sensitivity. It's not that the world is too emotional. It's that you are too aware. You struggle to find people who truly understand you. Most of the world thinks in practical terms. You think in patterns, meanings, and layers. You don't just see what people do, you see why they do it. You don't just hear what they say, you hear what they're afraid to say. This creates a kind of existential loneliness. Not because you're alone, but because you rarely meet minds that operate on the same depth. When you do meet someone like that, the connection feels electric, like a rare moment of being seen. But most of the time, you move through life feeling slightly out of place. You question everything, including yourself. Deep thinkers don't take beliefs at face value. You challenge assumptions, your own and everyone else's. You question social norms, expectations, traditions, and even your own motives. You don't just ask, "What should I do?" but "Why should I do it? Who decided this? What does this really mean?" But this ability comes with a price. Indecision, existential doubt, and internal conflict. Most people follow the script. You rewrite it, and rewriting is exhausting. Your mind is both your greatest ally and your greatest critic. You don't fit into the world's timeline. Society has a rhythm. Grow up, study, work, marry, retire. But deep thinkers rarely move in straight lines. You wander, you reflect, you reconsider. You dive into ideas, you question your path. You reinvent yourself. Others interpret this as hesitation, immaturity, or being lost. But you're not lost, you're searching deliberately. You're exploring the inner world before you commit to the outer one. Your timeline doesn't match the world's tempo, and that mismatch can make life feel strangely misaligned. You see the future consequences of decisions before others see the present. When someone proposes an idea, you instantly see the long-term effects. When someone makes a choice, you see where it will lead. When someone enters a relationship, you see the patterns that will repeat. Deep thinking gives you the ability to simulate outcomes in your mind. But this ability is double-edged. You avoid mistakes, but you also avoid risks. You protect yourself, but you may overprotect your future at the cost of your present. You're praised for being wise, but sometimes you feel trapped by your insight. You can't find peace unless things make sense. For many people, chaos is fine. They accept confusion, they move on quickly. But for deep thinkers, confusion is psychological pain. You need coherence, truth, alignment, meaning. When something doesn't make sense, someone's behavior, a decision, an emotion, you can't let it go. Your mind turns it over, analyzes it, reframes it, and searches for clarity. You don't obsess because you're anxious. You obsess because your mind demands understanding. You're constantly aware of the absurdity and fragility of life. Deep thinkers don't just live, they observe themselves living. You notice how strange existence is, how temporary everything feels, how unpredictable people are, how contradictory society can be, how fragile the entire human experience truly is. This awareness gives you depth, perspective, and wisdom, but it also creates an existential heaviness, a feeling that you are watching life from a distance, searching for meaning in a world that often seems indifferent. Most people live on the surface. You live in the depths, and while the depths are beautiful, they are also heavy. Here's the truth. Thinking deeply doesn't make you strange or broken or misplaced. It makes you different. And different is uncomfortable in a world that rewards simplicity over depth. But depth is where meaning lives. Depth is where truth lives. Depth is where connection lives. If these 9 signs resonate with you, then you're not thinking too much. You're simply thinking at a level the world rarely understands. And that is not a curse, it's a rare gift.